Hi everyone, good morning. Okay, so today we are going to start with another episode where we will be discussing about amortization of a loan. So today's lecture actually focuses on the essential concept in finance and lending, which is loan amortization, and the different types of amortization schedules also. Previously, we discussed about amortization schedule on Excel. If you remember, this is what we discussed about. We prepared an amortization schedule of a loan for 7 lakh rupees. Rate of interest was 10%. The tenure was 5 years. And the EMI, which we calculated using the formula on Excel, was PMT. And that's all you actually want. And one issue, and if you are new to this formula, one issue which we faced was the beginning. It's not working. Okay. The beginning of the period and the end of the period. What does what does these terms mean? Okay. Now let's understand the process of compounding and discounting first. And since we are talking about it, let's talk about it in detail. So if I make a timeline here and just want you to give a rough estimation, I'm saying 2, 3. This is 0, this is 1, 2, and 3. Let's talk about the end of the period, which is usually the case. So at the end of the period, I'm saying that it's 10%. I'm assuming just these numbers. The rate I'm assuming is 10%. I'm saying the time I'm taking tenure or the time I am assuming is 3 years. So the difference between beginning and ending, that's what I actually want you to understand. Okay, see, let's assume the principal amount is 100 rupees or $100. When you start at the beginning of the period, I'm saying that you are going to pay somebody $100, 100 rupees here at the beginning of the period. 100 rupees here, 100 rupees here for 3 years. But if you are going to pay somebody 100 rupees at the end of the period, that's going to make a considerable difference. That's going to make a considerable difference in time value of money. So the time value of money concept helps us understand this problem. So uh, now let's evaluate the. So these are three installments. These are three EMIs. Let's assume that these are three EMIs. And if I am discounting them back to the present value, so understand this thing, this 100 is going to be 100, but this 10 at the rate of 10%, it's going to be 90. And this 100 at the rate of 10% for 2 years, I'm just assuming hypothetical numbers. So it's going to be 81. So I've discounted it twice. Maybe I've incorrectly discounted it, but let me just do one thing. Let me just, mm, I'm discounting 100 by 1.1. It's going to be 90.90. The exact number is 90.90. And if I'm discounting it one more time, taking this 100, okay, this becomes 90.90 here, and this becomes 90.90 when it comes to the present. So 90.90, if I'm again dividing it by 1.1, this is going to give me 82. 82.64. So I'm saying, I'm assuming 83. If I add these up, 83 plus 90 plus 100. So the present value of this cash flow is going to be 273. But if I calculate the present value of this cash flow, now understand this thing. This 100 becomes 90. This 100 becomes 83. But this 100 becomes 84. So 84, this becomes 84, this becomes 83, and this becomes 90. So 84 plus 80, I think I made a calculation mistake. Let me just do it one more time. If I'm dividing 83 by 1.1, it's going to give me 75. Sorry, my bad. This is going to be 75. 75, 83, and 90. 100 divided by 1.1 is going to give me 90. So if I add these values, 90 plus 83 plus 75 is 248. The sum of ending period 248. And there are going to be situations when you will be paying at the beginning of the period. There are going to be situations where you will be paying at the end of the period. So you need to understand the logic before you apply the formula. So concept wise, if you are not able to understand the concept, then it's going to be difficult for you to understand the logic or automate it. So now since we are trying to automate everything, and in this automate everything, pardon my spelling, automate everything. So how would you apply it in, or how would you instruct somebody else? How would you instruct the AI? How would you instruct the AI to do this, calculate properly? If you are working on a very large data set, so what would you do that large data set? So what would you do at that time? And in most of the cases, in real life, in real world, actually, the finance part which is actually repetitive in nature, that's where they are actually looking at to automate it. So this thing can be automated. And whether you are aware or not, there are special kind of calculators also in the market, calculators in the market that actually have those functions. So they have actually automated these functions. But to automate it on a large scale, you actually need to understand the logic behind it. Unless until you do not have the clarity with the logic, you will not be able to apply it or automate it, or you will not be able to teach it to your AI. And okay, since we have talked about the automation part also, so and now understand this thing. This is the end of the period. This is the beginning of the period. The above part is the beginning of the period, and the another part is end of the period. So we are making end of the period here. If you look at this thing, the difference between 248 and 273, 248, 273, the difference is just of one value, one multiplier. If I multiply this by 1.1, if I compound it by the rate 1.1, so it will give me 272.8. If I calculate it, 272.8. So the difference here lies because, so these, okay, understand this thing. This value and this value, these four values are going to give me 90 and 83. Here also 90 and 83. But the difference comes because of this value, the beginning and the end of the period. That's why there is a shift of 1 year. And when we are discounting it back to the present value, there's a difference when there might be two situations. Here I am calculating the present value, and there might be a situation where I am calculating how much the cash flow is going to generate at the future value or the face value maybe. I'm calculating face value of a bond maybe. We previously discussed about bonds, right? So there might be two kinds of flows. A bond is paying you at the beginning of the period, a bond is paying you at the end of the period. You are amortizing something at the beginning of the period, you are amortizing something at the end of the period. So this understanding this thing, the basic concept actually helps you. And if you were to calculate the if you were to discount it here, so there's a difference. If you see the difference in between these 248 and this, it's of 1.1, and if you multiply compound it 248 by 1.1, it's because it will give you 273 roughly. And if you compound it to the future value, you will also see that there is going to be a difference when you are compounding it here. So if you're calculating these values here, you will see the difference. So beginning, the future value where you were paying at the beginning of the period, and the future values where you were paying at the end of the period. I hope you have understood what I'm trying to deliver here. So now let's discuss if you are not able to make a sense out of this Excel, which I have pasted here, this whole amortization schedule, which I have pasted here. So I would recommend you to go to the previous lecture and see how we have calculated it. Just remember, the interest component is always on the principal. What you will do is you will multiply this number by the monthly interest rate because you are paying principal amount monthly. So you multiply this number by 0.83, you multiply this number by 0.83. This will calculate your interest component. You multiply this number by 0.83. Just remember this thing. Interest into outstanding principal. You will be able to calculate your interest payments. You will be able to calculate your interest payment and then subtract the to calculate the principal, just subtract the interest from the EMIs. Just subtract the interest from the EMIs. It should not be either way around. And don't worry about the negative cash flows and all. When you are using the PMT formula, the the convention majorly people follow is they put a negative PMT equal to negative PMT in the Excel, and the Excel will give you the recommendation suggestions. Then you put the tab, select that thing. That's how easy it is. So you will calculate the each month installment using these numbers, and you can also calculate the each month installment manually. Let's not talk about the how it's calculated. I hope you know at least how to calculate the each month installment manually using the formula compounding and discounting. The time value of money formula, TVM formula, which we used to study in our school, in our, when we study about it? Maybe in eighth, ninth standard, in our junior years. Uh, Okay, so we have talked about this whatsoever we have discussed in the previous reading a lot now. And okay, let's move forward with our reading. So, understanding amortization is critical because it explains how loans are repaid, how interest behaves over time, and why two loans with the same amount can cost very uh, different. So, there are going to be different totals if there are two loans depending on their structure. In a loan, I have when you take out a loan, if the tenure was more, so the loan would stretch out to a higher tenure. So this means that the EMIs are going to be smaller, but the interest component and the principal component, they are going to increase. So the more you take out, the more you take time to pay your outstanding balance, the more interest the bank is going to generate out of you. So uh, that's going to be that's going to be costlier for you. And that actually depends on that totally depends on the structure of the loan. So if you see here, there are two factors which I can change. So your loan will be sensitive to the rate of interest. Your loan will be sensitive to the rate of interest, and the another component would be your loan will be sensitive to the tenure of the loan. Okay. So by the end of this lecture, you should be able to define the loan amortization clearly. You should be able to distinguish between amortization and amortization schedule. Identify and compare different type of amortization schedule, which we will be discussing in just a moment. Uh, and understand the risk and the appropriate uses of each case type. So, uh, amortization, what is amortization? I hope you guys have understood as of now. Amortization, the loan amortization is the overall process of repaying the loan. This is the overall process of repaying the loan over through scheduled payments. So I have scheduled the payments, EMIs, and each payment make you typically cover two things: interest and the principal. And in simple terms, amortization is equal to the concept or the process of repayment over time. And it answers one question: how does a loan gradually gets paid off? So this is how actually a loan gets paid off in when we do not have. It's very simple example. So this is actually the overview. Uh, but there could be different types of amortization schedules also. And each amortization schedule shows each payment period. So payment period would be shown here, how much interest we are paying and how much principal we are paying, the remaining loan balance, and this is important. This format is important to understand how the amortization schedule is made. And this schedule is what allows borrowers, lenders, and analysts to track loan progress accurately. Now understand this thing when we will be discussing about the uh, when we will be discussing about the debt waterfall structure, this part. So there are going to be multiple types of loan that we will be working on, and you have to actually prepare a amortization schedule for every security which involves debt, every type of debt in simple words. So there are different type of debts also: type A, type B, then there are revolvers, and then there are senior subordinate, junior subordinate, mezzanine, and there are trash, investment grade. Uh, there are high yield bonds. So those bonds. So every security which we have used to raise debt inside a company and the capital structure of the company, you actually have to study the capital structure of the company also. So you will actually have to prepare a debt waterfall. So how much money are we paying? How much interest are we paying? The current market rates, and on the basis of that, you will make decisions whether or not you will be able to generate. Whether or not is there an opportunity in the market where you can pay off some loan, the company gets benefit of that loan paying off, and are you able to achieve something out of your understanding of the market, out of your knowledge, and that everything. So we are, as of now, we are only discussing in parts, but the overall picture, it's that waterfall structure, that waterfall. So that's where you apply everything we are going to discuss, and amortization schedule is going to be an important part of it. Okay, so there are types of amortization schedules. Let me just do. Okay, there are types of amortization schedules, and we have examples also. So let's talk about the fully amortization loan. The loan which is amortizing itself, fully amortizing standard EMI loan. So these are also known as standard EMI loan. And this is what we discussed in the previous reading and at the start of this lecture. Also, so there are fixed EMIs throughout the tenure. Yes, we have seen that example. Uh, the key characteristics are EMIs are equate. EMI is the full form of EMI. Since we are talking about it, just a fun fact: EMI is the full form of EMIs is equated monthly installments, and EMIs remains fixed throughout the loan tenure when we talk about a fully amortizing loan. So each EMI include interest and principal. We have seen that thing. Uh, loan balance gradually declines. Yes, if you see the loan balance is gradually declining, and the difference is the principal component. So every month I am reducing this by the same amount. So I am reducing the principal amount, and I am taking out the principal amount from the EMI. To understand the concept, if you are from finance background, if you're not from the finance background, it doesn't matter. Even if you are from the humanities, if you are um, if you are from any background, if you are from literature, if you are from uh, uh, any background, I am 100% sure that you have heard the term loan. So now be a little curious and understand how the amortization of a loan is prepared. So I can also do what I can do is what I could have done, make videos using AI, using voiceovers, but I actually wanted to have these videos prepared in old style and old school, old school way, and that's my style. Uh, when we are putting in some time, well, it's better that we make something out of it and we give it our 100%. So, if you're watching those videos, it's my advice to you, free advice, even though it's not recommended. But I would suggest you to go through these videos patiently and try to watch uh, one video and no, I'm not releasing all these videos daily, but I'm releasing these videos with 1 day gap so that you can process, revisit, and apply these concepts whatsoever you are reading. So let's get back to the fully amortizing or standard EMI loans. So the balance becomes zero at the end of the term. The key feature is that there is no large payment at the end of the tenure, and this kind of amortization is usually used in home loans, maybe home loans, yes, home loans, car loans, and personal loans. And this structure is considered low risk because the borrower steadily uh, reduces the loan balance with every payment. So there is no large payment at the end of the period, and the risk is low when when the loan type is fully amortizing. Risk is low. All right. So this is how actually a fully amortizing loan looks like. So this is the principal component. Every month, EMI means monthly installments. Every month, the interest components we are the bank is taking out the interest component, or whosoever is the lender, he's taking out the interest component. He's reducing the principal, and your loan balance is getting or going towards zero. This is as simple as it could be. I hope you have understood it. Now let's talk about partially amortizing loan, where there is a balloon payment at the end of the period. So a partially amortizing loan, this is how actually the amortizing balloon payment looks like. And in partially amortizing loan, the borrower does not fully repay the loan throughout the regular EMIs. throughout the tenure using regular EMIs. The key characteristics here is that the regular EMIs are smaller than the fully amortizing loan. So these EMIs are going to be smaller than the fully amortizing loan. At the end of the term, a large lump sum of payment is due, which is also known as the balloon payment. That's why it's a balloon of payments, balloon payments. Uh, it's used in actually commercial real estate. If you are buying commercial real estate, it does make sense because if you are purchasing a commercial real estate, let's assume that this is a building of yours. So it will take you some time and you do not want to invest your money inside that. You do not want to invest a lot of your hard-earned money. You do not want to purchase it using equity. So in investors equity and other people's equity, you take out a loan, and the psychology here, the strategy here is that you will be receiving interest, rent. You will be receiving rent here. You will be receiving rent here every month. But occupancy rate, but occupancy rate, you need to look at the occupancy rate, whether or not the you are able to get the tenants. Are you whether or not the tenants uh, what is the occupancy rate means the, how many tenants do you have at a certain point of time. And if you are able to generate rent, it's rent. If you are able to generate rent, you would be able to pay off your loan as quickly as possible. But if there is an issue because of the occupancy rate, so what you would do is, after everything, you after every expenses, you would also be needing some money. You will be paying salaries and other expenses. So you have forecasted this in the future that at a certain point of time, my building will be fully functional. Occupancy rate is going to be above 90%, and 100% efficient, 100% efficient. And after, I'm assuming after 75%, I'm taking a chance. I'm taking a spread for the downside also. So I'm assuming that at 75%, I'm able to generate the best outcome out of this investment. And if it goes above 25%, it's way good for me. But at 75%, if the occupancy rate is 75%, I am happy with my investment. So that's why, with that mindset, the in real estate investors actually take these loans where the amortization schedule is balloon payment. And this is actually also done in this is actually also seen in small term loans. I will try to pay the loan as quickly as possible. And once I get the cash inflows, I will pay the loan. I will close the loan. That's uh, that's actually a partially amortizing loan where there is a balloon payment. I hope this is clear and this made sense. Borrower must either the risk here is that the borrower must either refinance the loan or pay a large amount to the maturity, and this actually creates a medium or high risk, and especially if refinancing conditions are unfavorable. So, just in the real estate example, if I want to pay the balloon payment now, but the market conditions are not favorable to me, so what I will do is I will refinance the loan. I can do that, but uh, taking a loan at a higher price would not make sense. So there is a high risk, especially if the refinancing conditions are unfavorable. If I estimated the tenure that within this time period, I will be able to generate, uh, I will be able to revamp everything and make my building fully functional. But I overestimated that, and it's taking more time than anticipated. So uh, in that kind of a situation, yes, there is going to be risk, and The risk factors, you actually have to look at the downside also. Don't be over optimistic about anything. So that's why when you are forecasting something, your assumptions should be real life based, not real market scenario based, not hypothetical. So in institutions, we do talk about hypothetical examples, but when we are reading, when the example are hypothetical, but don't paint an image where everything is green, where everything is good. Okay, we have talked about it in detail now. I hope you have understood. So the third type of amortization is interest-only amortization. So commercial real estate and business financing, short-term business financing, borrower must pay at the end of the maturity, and that's what it's actually creating the risk for the lender. When we talk about interest-only amortization, uh, see, the interest only amortization in this, as the name signifies, it's interest only payment initially and covers only the interest, not the principal component. And the key characteristic here is that the monthly payments actually pay the interest component only, and the principal remains unchanged during the interest only period. So principal is paid, repaid. Principal actually repaid later, either as a lump sum or normal EMIs after the interest only phase. So initially you only pay the interest and then you only pay the principal. So you have already paid all the interest. So this will actually increase the tenure of your loan. So let's assume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this was actually 10 years. But even after 10 years, you are not able to pay your principal fully. So what you will do is now you will break the principal into different components and you will stretch it out to another 10 years. So this is actually interest only component. And if you have ever taken a loan, so this actually the bank also gives you these kind of loans during the bad market conditions during the during COVID period recently. So I actually witnessed these kind of cases. A friend of mine actually was struggling to pay his loan. So that's how I can relate to it, how this makes sense. Uh, it's where it is used in loan constructions, investor focused mortgages. It's uh, used in in construction loans, construction of loans, real estate again, the real estate and investor focused mortgages. So there is no risk equity building initially, but uh, the borrower owes the same principal amount even after making payments for years. So that's one risk. The borrower might default. Maybe when you talk about the real estate, there are a lot of rules and regulations which you actually have to look into. Uh, at times, the real estate developers actually default. So just be cautious with this when we talk about real estate. We will discuss about these. We will discuss about this in detail when we'll discuss about or when we will make their other series which I'm waiting for. I'm working on that because of bandwidth. I'm not able to deliver it as of now. So the sector expert series. So we will talk about those in detail when we will discuss this real estate as a sector. So now the next kind of amortization is negative amortization. So negative amortization, as a name signifies itself. So negative amortization is one of the riskiest loan structure. The key characteristics here are that the payments are less than the interest due. I'm not even paying the interest. I am the unpaid interest is added to the principal here, and then the loan balance increases instead of actually decreasing. So I am saying, okay, you have said that this is my EMI, but that was my interest component. This was my principal, but I am not even paying my interest component. Understand this thing. So what I have done is I have asked you to reduce my interest component also. So this way, this extra portion which is left, so bank will So bank doesn't, it's the house always win. It's a very famous quote in gambling. So the bank never loses. So this component is going to add it to your principal balance. So if you remember here, the principal balance was actually getting reduced. Here, the principal balance is getting added up. So next month, I am just an estimate. Next month, let's assume that the principal balance gets increased to 7 lakh uh, uh, 5 8. Let's say you have paid half of that, so 7 plus the principal 9039 plus, okay, plus some component of, let's just say 200 2000 of interest. So principal is getting added, and this will increase your outstanding balance, and that's actually riskier for the bank. If the borrower defaults, bank take overs the property, the collateral, and there is a lot of stress comes out with when the bank starts to recover the initial principal and the payments. So let's not talk about it. It's uh, and we actually also have time constraints to complete this lecture. So let's try to complete. I hope you have got the idea what the negative amortization represents here. So payments are less than the interest rate. Interest due, unpaid interest rate is added to the principal here, and the loan balance increases instead of decreasing, and it's used in teaser rate loans. Now it's very rare in the market, and for obvious reasons, the risk grows even while the borrower is actually paying a little amount. Okay. Now the last type of amortization. It's okay. The second last, the principal, the fixed principal or a declining EMI. Well, The as you can see here, the principal is being paid off. Principal portion is constant. EMI reduce every month. So fixed principal means declining EMI. So the characteristic here is that the principal portion is constant each month. I am not declining the principal portion. I am saying the principal portion is constant each month. Here I am assuming that it's, let's say the maximum. Let's say it's 10,671 every month. The principal portion is being paid off. It's going to be constant each month. The interest component is calculated on a declining balance, and EMI increases over time. In this kind of case, so interest is actually calculated on the declining balance. Uh, that's how the principal is fixed, and a step up and a step down. So loan step up and step down. I hope it's not going to be a problem to understand this thing. So here the EMI actually increases, and here the EMI actually decreases. I hope uh, you have understood what I'm trying to deliver here. And the key difference is in one line, that amortization or loan is the concept of repaying the debt over time, and the types of amortization schedule represents the different ways of payment is structured, and these are the components which are available in the market. So let's wrap this today's session. Thank you for attending this episode.